Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Destructicon, and for today's video I'll be reviewing Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 is a real-time strategy game developed by Tindalos Interactive and published by Focus Home Interactive. In this game, you take control of one of the famous fleets of the Warhammer 40k universe. All factions are included, from the standard but sophisticated Imperial Navy, to the slippery Eldar, to the brutal Orcs or Tyranids, to the technologically advanced Necron. Similarly to the first game, in the series you can choose to partake in one of three of the game's campaigns, or simply play skirmishes and player versus player. Combat returns from the first game, with you controlling each individual ship from a top-down perspective via keyboard and mouse combinations. The controls and settings themselves are also very customizable. Gothic 2 also brings a few enhancements to the combat compared to the previous game, namely in morale, stealth, and troops. While morale did exist in the first game, it wasn't very well fleshed out. In Gothic 2, however, almost all major negative actions against a ship, such as ramming or boarding, can impact it. If morale plummets too low, a ship will attempt to flee, and unlike the previous game, there isn't always an option to execute the captain and re-establish order. And even if such an option is presented, it will usually incur several other penalties, such as to troops. Stealth, while in the previous game was more of a niche mechanic, is now also more fleshed out, with certain ships being able to enter and remain in stealth permanently under certain conditions, no longer needing to rely on gas clouds exclusively. More than that, some races actually center entire strategies and tactics around stealth. The last gameplay improvement is troops. Your ships will always be manned by a certain number of troops, a value being displayed above your ship and varying from ship to ship depending on tonnage. When the true value of a ship reaches 0, it will become a derelict husk, basically becoming inoperable to the player. This gives you another strategic element to manage, in that you will want to make sure your ship's troop value never goes too low. Even when it does, you have some choices. You can reclaim the vessel by using boarding actions, or you can scuttle it, destroying the ship but doing massive damage to the surrounding enemy vessels. A major change to the game this time around is the introduction of a charge limit to some of the special actions of your ship, such as strikecraft, torpedoes, and boarding actions. I'm a bit on the fence regarding this change. I can understand the intent of the change. I believe it is to encourage more strategic use of your available player resources and to discourage overall late-game spam. While this does, I admit, lead to some intense moments where you aren't sure if you have enough weapons left to succeed, I also feel it kind of becomes oppressive in long and drawn-out battles. And I also feel it can kind of punish the player too much if they do not have enough foresight. I believe in this case a bit of a more middle-of-the-road approach would have been better. Like, say, yes, you do have a number of charges on your available most powerful weapons, and yes, you can consume them all. However, after completely depleting them, a much longer cooldown can start while one of your available charges is replenished. This would still have the intended effect of encouraging players to more tactically use their options. However, it will also not overly punish a player who's spent all of their weapons in the beginning. One gameplay element which was unfortunately taken out was the individual ship customization from the first game. In the original Battlefleet Gothic, you had a large variety of ways to customize each individual ship. You could choose to train specific parts of the crew, install certain upgrades, and gain favor with certain factions. That level of customization has been stripped out and replaced by just a handful of upgrades and powers, which affect your entire fleet. Again, I can kind of understand the mindset. It would have been very hard to balance the game around so many variables, but given how much of a focus it was in the first game, it feels like a regression, and it removes even more player choice late game. In addition, players simply just love customizations. You see it all the time in various mediums, and it can be done in various ways, such as players customizing their avatar in an MMO, or a car in a racing game, etc. And as such, simply removing this element of customization just feels like it removes another element of choice and investment which players otherwise might have put into the game and their fleets. The gameplay across all factions is extremely rich and varied, as all of them have unique mechanics that can distinguish one faction from another. For example, the Dark Eldar are in a state of permanent stealth if they can maintain top speed, with the downside of having extremely fragile ships and morale should they be revealed, forcing you to play for hit and run and guerrilla tactics. The Space Marines of the Adeptus Astartes, on the other hand, cannot be affected by morale and instead prefer to get up close and personal, boarding the enemy ships and crippling them in close-quarter combat. Overall, the combat in Battlefleet Gothic 2 is still nail-bitingly fun and spectacular. The updates to some of the combat systems have clearly enriched it. It's just a pity that, with some of the customizations removed, it feels like a one step forward but two steps back approach. Compared to the first game, Gothic 2 has 3 campaigns, which will play from the perspective of either the Imperium of Man, the Necron Empire, or the Tyranids. Not only do you have more campaigns, but the campaigns themselves are a lot longer, spanning several star systems and some of the most important lore events of the Warhammer 40k universe. The campaign also tests you with its frantic pace, throwing more and more threats your way as you discover more star systems, giving you a taste of the grimdark reality of the 41st millennium. In addition, you now also have the option of playing the campaign in co-op. The campaign itself is great on its own and doesn't need a friend to make it work. As such, offering the option of co-op simply enriches the experience here, adding even more replayability and fun. A number of special map modifiers has also been added to both campaign and multiplayer, such as radiation storms or solar eruptions, which can oftentimes alter how a map plays out radically, thus also forcing you as a player to rethink your approach. The number of campaigns, 3 difficulty settings, the addition of more map modifiers, races, and co-op ensures there will be plenty of replayability in the single player experience as well as the multiplayer. In terms of graphics, the game looks simply gorgeous. The ship models are all richly detailed, from the rows of macro batteries to the ship hangars and to the individual spires that adorn and enrich your ships. And it's always a treat to zoom in on them and inspect them. The background scenery is also beautiful and varied, from asteroid fields to colorful nebula to sprawling planets and moons. And a special favorite of mine are also the massive space superstructures and space stations you'll occasionally find, which dominate an entire map scenery. And when you consider that one of your battleships is usually several kilometers long, some of them even reaching 10 kilometers long, it really puts into perspective just how huge and imposing space stations really are. These special effects, such as stealth, radiation, smoke trails, are all beautifully done, and the game also does a better job now of giving you visual cues of when your ship has taken critical hits. The game's sound systems are all very well done. The individual races are all easily distinguishable, from the stoic Imperial Navy and Adeptus Astartes, to the grunting orcs, to the alien Tyranids, and the robotic Necron. The sound effects are all very well done, from explosive sound of torpedoes impacting hull to the brutal rapid sounds of ships colliding. The game is also complemented by an epic and bombastic music score, which helps capture the grandeur of the galaxy while still grounding you in the grim dark nature of the 41st millennium. The game is also very stable. I haven't encountered any huge issues such as stuttering, frame drops, or screen or texture tears, and I have yet to experience a game crash even after 47 hours played overall. Now, in terms of monetization, the game is very fair. There are, as of yet, no DLCs, so for a price of only €39.99 on Steam, you get the complete experience. I personally judge the value of a game in comparison to how many hours of enjoyment I can get out of the game, with an optimal value being at least 1 hour in-game per 1 dollar or euro spent. Given that I have already spent 47 hours on just one campaign, and I still have the option of playing 2 more of them, playing them in co-op, and also going offline or online for skirmishes, I anticipate that there could be up to 100 plus hours of enjoyment, giving this game an incredible value for its price. Overall, I'll give this game a 8 out of 10. While I disagree with some of the content removed from the first game, the creators have brought in enough new features that the overall experience is still enriched. The game is simply just great fun, and it has the potential to be a lot of fun for a very long time to come. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like to support me and my channel, consider leaving a like and a comment, subscribing, and sharing this video. Also, don't forget to check out some of my other content. And in addition, you can also follow me on Twitch, where I'll be streaming regularly new releases as well as some of my old favorites. Thank you for your time and have a great day.